Well, Brian, we're coming down to the wire here. We've just watched the semifinal event, and lucky for you, you had the day off. You had some good times, but you know, typically I wouldn't see you and Shannon heading off to lunch with Chris very often. So tell us, how was that experience, and how much bonding went on?
Well, I mean, obviously, the lunch is, something that, Golf Channel NBC puts on, and it was definitely a nice, relaxing day. But, in the same respect, there was still a lot of work to do. But, us three sitting there, I think, gave us an opportunity to, be a little more open without the cameras on 100% of the time, to be able to talk and kind of get a gist for, one another, and find out who the people we really were and what makes us tick, what doesn't make us tick, and, what gets under our skin and what doesn't get under our skin. So I don't think it could have happened to a better team, considering the circumstances, that they could have that, free time with one another to be able to, to bond and maybe air out some grievances that were, started earlier in the year, in the series.
Mm-hmm. So did you learn something about Chris that you didn't know or that surprised you during that lunch?
No, I mean, I think we always knew that he was a fiery competitor. I mean, I think from a defensive standpoint in the NFL, you got to be that way. I don't think we ever really got to the root of why things happened the way they did early in the season. But, sometimes you just got to let bygones be bygones, turn the other cheek, and, and just move on and be grateful for the position that you're in. And I know certainly that Shannon and I and Chris both all felt that, it was an honor and privilege to be in the position we were in, being undefeated, going into the finals. So with that being said, it was, like I said, it was a nice lunch. And, I have to say that the lunch I had at the Tifo Bar probably was one of the best lunches I've ever had in my life, food-wise, and the drink that they served was pretty outstanding as well.
Well, I bet you're looking forward to returning then, given that you got that wonderful all-paid return trip to Puerto Rico. That's going to be exciting.
I am. We're hoping that we might be able to tie the tournament in into an exemption to be able to play. But, that remains to be seen. We'll see what happens, and we'll have our fingers crossed and see if somehow I'll be able to manage myself to sneak myself into that tournament somehow.
You have a little son, don't you?
I do. I'm actually walking him as we talk right now.
Oh, isn't that wonderful? Well,
it's our afternoon walk.
That's great. That's great. So I bet he's going to just love the water park there. So this is going to be great, not just for you to be going back and reliving some moments, but your wife and son enjoying all the luxuries of an extremely luxurious resort.
I think it'll be an outstanding time. Yeah, I think it will. It really will be.
That's great. Well, at the end of the lunch, and Chris wanted to hang around and just relax, and Shannon, obviously, she has no problem telling Chris what to do sometimes, which I just love that. It's just so great to see. Said you got to go off and practice. I didn't think you were allowed to practice on your days off.
Yeah, we were. It was really our option whether we wanted to practice or not. I felt it was a necessary evil to at least hit balls for a little while. Not full-blown going to course practice, but it was more practice of just hitting balls on the range. And I thought it was pretty imperative that that we did that just to stay loose an entire day without playing. I don't think would have been very advantageous for us. But I think just going to hit balls for an hour or so, keeping those muscles, in that muscle memory, so to speak, well, I thought was a good idea. And Fish knew what I meant, and Chris gradually got there, and I'm sure he understood why I thought that was necessary.
Well, let's talk about that day's action. You saw it for the first time last night, watching them play, and it was so enjoyable to watch. One, real golf, and really good golf, and just that duel was awesome to see. What did you think as you were watching the whole thing, from the setup, how they planned the event, how it was, stroke play divided amongst the teams, the strategies they used, anything that stood out for you or surprised you or you want to talk about?
First and foremost, I have to take my hat off to both teams. I mean, that was some outstanding play. Just top notch. I mean, it was punch, counter punch, punch, counter punch. I mean, they just, no one would go away. And I thought that was, pretty outstanding at how, the play went on. I wish I could say more about the setup and I'll be able to say more next week because I think the setup for the semifinal match was more fair than the setup for the final match. And you'll be able to see what I mean when it comes down to it at the end. It's unfortunate, but, both teams still had to play it, and, that is what it is. But you'll understand more next week when we talk about this comment. But I thought that the play was, top notch. I mean, I take my hat off more to the final match between, Isaac and Mallory. I mean, that was just, if that was a heavyweight fight, that was, two fighters getting knocked down, back up, knocked down, back up. I mean, they just kept going, and I can't say enough about how the two of them played. That was just outstanding golf. I mean, I just wish that was a day where we could have, been out there to watch and cheer them both on because it was pretty exciting to watch at home. I can only imagine how much more exciting it would have been to be out there actually watching from Six City.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I thought the team Rice was going to just wipe out the Browns team. Just, I don't know, I guess, they haven't been as strong throughout, and but it was wonderful to see them all come through. Even Will hit some good shots. He had that bad break when it hit a bit left and bounced into the hazard, but even that recovered from pretty good. And it was good to see that everybody out there really gave 100%, and there was no losers out there. They all came away, had to feel good about how they played.
Absolutely. I mean, golf's a funny game. I mean, the good thing about golf generally is unless you do something stupid on your last hole, you always have an opportunity to make up for it. And, Will he made one poor swing and almost really paid a dear price for it. And was, granted, Emily made par regardless, but, Phil, Will had an opportunity to make par. And, from his second shot, I think that's, if you would have told him, hey, you're still going to have a chance to make par, I think he would have been happy with that. So, so it turned out, probably the way it should. When you hit a poor swing in golf, sometimes you need to be penalized. And unfortunately for Will, in that case, he was a little penalized. But he almost recovered, so you got to take your hat off to him.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I didn't let it get out. And he also, he really let Mallory take the lead, and I thought that was good. And not a lot of players would do that, and so you have to give him credit for that. Well, at dinner that night, how many were eating together? Was it just you and Team Rice, or does everybody eat together?
As a whole, no matter who got eliminated, dinner was always at the same time, and everybody still came and we ate together. So, it was neat for us to hear the stories at dinner about how it was going back and forth. And, one thing, that was really cool was that even though the green team lost, they were really in good spirits at dinner and really laughing and giggling along with us and, telling us how it went. And, watching the show last night, I felt really bad for Mallory. I mean, she was in tears and she had nothing to cry about. I mean, she's going up against, a great player in Isaac, and, he has somewhat of a little bit of advantage. He can spin the ball more. He can hit it higher. So, but she held in there. And, I swear, you just have to take your hat off to her and tell her, hey, there's nothing to be shameful about. If anything, you need to use this as a motivating tool, for your future down the line. And I think she's smart enough with coming from a golf family to be able to do that.
Yeah. No, she definitely should be proud of herself. She carried that team most of the time.
I agree.
I'm thinking that, that night you guys must be talking about strategy. You know that during the day they played all stroke play. Typically the Golf Channel uses stroke play for the final as well. But in a team play, you never know what's going to happen. Curious about if you guys strategized and what was going to happen the next day based on some assumptions. We do know that Chris likes to run things, whether he's right or wrong. we heard last week that people talking about weak links and how it would feel about it if your NFL player, was responsible for losing victory and all those kinds of comments. I'm curious what you thought. What happened that night in your planning session, and how are you feeling about going into the next day?
Without giving too much away, I really, in looking back at every big break, I honestly voiced my opinion, and I thought the final would be 18 holes of golf, just like they've always been, or at least 9, considering the time, with 3 players, and I thought that would be, really fair, 3, 3, and 3, or we would all play 6 holes, or, we could, if we played 9 holes or 18 holes, we would all play alternate, you would have, your NFL guys going up against your NFL guy on hole 1, then Fish and Emily going hole 2, then me and Isaac going hole 3, and you would just have a cumulative score. That's the only way I really thought that it could go. I mean, anything other than that, I thought would be less fair to all involved, no matter who won. I think it would that's, if they did anything other than giving players, a full opportunity to play golf, for a duration, like even if they did the 6 holes like they did for the semifinals, when I saw that, I knew and felt that it had to be more holes than 6. So that's the only thing we could think of. We were thinking, well, it has to be at least 9 holes to play. So we just had to think about that and prepare for at least 9 holes, maybe 18 holes of golf. And, worst case, it would be, 6 holes each or 3 holes each. That's what we thought. So you'll just have to tune in next week to find out and see if I was right or wrong and if it was fair or unfair.
Okay, you got us wondering there, Brian. Well, this has been great. You've been so terrific to be interviewed every week, and I love your insights into what's going on. And I'm just curious if you have anything you want to close with today before we go into next week. And one question I forgot to ask you is, it looked like you were in confessional there talking about, well, if we have to play golf, let's just play golf. Do you have to do confessional after a day off? That seemed kind of strange.
We do. We do confessional every day regardless, as long as it's still in competition. And, and the breakfast, obviously, Tim was trying to give us the jabs about, hey, anything could happen today. You guys might be playing and, all that. But, when it comes down to it, if that's the case, that's the case. If you want to start thinking, oh, there's no way we got to be off, or, we're not going to be playing, and then you go in there and they say, oh, by the way, you're playing, you're not going to be prepared. So, I went to the range, and so did Fish, and I think Chris did after he realized that, we got to be ready for this. That, we went to the range saying, hey, there's a good chance we're going to be playing golf. You never know with Big Break. They always have a surprise. There's always a twist with Big Break. So you got to be prepared for anything. And, I was prepared to go play golf. And, lo and behold, when we got out there, it was a nice gift that we didn't have to. And, but rightfully so. I think we deserved that. I mean, we were the only undefeated team. We had been to countless elimination challenges or sudden death challenges and proved successful. So, to get, 10 weeks without a loss, I don't think that they had prepared for anybody to be in that position. And lo and behold, there was a team, and that was us. And, I thought we deserved to have the day off. And obviously they agreed.
I can't imagine any other way of playing it, actually. Okay, so what are your closing remarks for today then, Brian?
I'm not sure I really have any.
Okay.
I think the final is going to be fun. I think if you looked at it from day one and people looked on paper, not too many people, on social media, wherever, probably expected this team to be, the team to be undefeated, or in the final, no less undefeated. And, I think we've proved everybody wrong, and, hopefully we can prove everybody wrong for one more week.
There you go. All righty. Well, thanks so much again for a great interview, and I look forward to talking to you next week when the whole thing's over and we know everything.
Absolutely.
Okay, take care.
Thanks.